Hello, today I want to have a look at how this card is coming together. Now none of it is stuck down at the moment because I want to be able to pull it apart and show you how I'm constructing it. But and the mats and layers, this is a bit wonky again because they're not stuck down. But the idea is I've got an envelope here that I've made using the Couture Creations mini scoring board, and I'll show you how to do that. And I've foiled on the inside of the flap here, and then the idea is that there's going to be lots of flowers kind of exploding out of the envelope. And then I've got the lovely Peony bouquet cut and foil die down at the bottom here, and one of the Dazzlier sentiments, lots of love, and this lovely leaf cut and foil die from the Peaceful Peonies collection as well. Also lots of other die cuts with it as well. Okay, so there's a lot going on here, and as I say, I haven't stuck anything down, so every time I take my fingers away it kind of tries to explode. But I wanted to take you through how to make some of the elements of this, so that you know, just so you've got some idea how it all comes together. So let me take it apart to start with. And the first thing is, I've taken my card blank. Let me just put the camera up a bit now. There we are. So I've taken my card blank and I've covered it with my pink card. Okay. I decided I didn't want a border around the outside of this one. And then my green card that I'm using as my mat for my pattern paper, I've gutted the middle out of, and I've done that using a paper trimmer. Okay, you can't do it on a guillotine, or you could use a die and cut it out, or a craft knife. I just like to save the card because that's rather a pretty piece of card. So that will go together. And then I've got all these bits. I'm just going to tip them off the pattern paper so I can pull it apart. So then I've got one of the pages from the Peaceful Peonies 6.5 inch pattern paper pad. Okay, so I've got that one. Got that on the back, so that will go layered up on there. I wanted something for my sentiment to kind of sit on to make it stand out, so I've mounted it onto a heart, and I've just used a nesting die set from my stash to cut a heart, and I've then stuck my sentiment onto there. I've used several different foils in this project, and I don't normally do that. Quite often I'll stick to 1 or 2 colours of foil, but I think there are 4 currently. There might be 5 by the end. So lots of colour in this one. The flowers I've used are from an older collection. These are from the Lavish Ballroom collection. So lots of people have these and they're still quite widely available. But if you haven't, you can use some die cuts instead. Just the idea of the exploding envelope. It doesn't actually explode, it's just sort of giving that impression. And then this envelope I've made using my Couture Creations mini scoring board, which is this one. Okay, and then what I've done is I've used let me just grab the hot foil stamp, this beautiful peony hot foil stamp that's in the Peaceful Peonies collection, to foil on that section of it. Now, one of the challenges is getting that in the right place. Another is getting it to foil properly. Now, I am just going to grab my failures. Now, lots of people think that my foiling comes out perfectly every time. So I thought I'd dispel that myth. So I was doing this as a mock-up. This is on some plain white card. And if you look really closely in there, let's focus the camera on that, you can see there's some bits of foil missing. Okay, but this was for my mock-up, so I decided I was just going to ignore that and carry on regardless. Okay, so obviously I needed more shims, basically. What went wrong with this one? This one didn't foil properly. This one, I don't think I actually had the hot foil stamp quite hot enough. And then I remembered that when I did a previous card, I found I actually needed some new shims because this hot foil stamp has lots of these lovely flat areas. It's not lines, it's these lovely flat areas, but it's a bit harder to get the pressure even across those. And if you've got shims that have had lots of use, they'll have lots of dimples and bumps in them, and quite often you end up then with that coming through to your foiling. So second failure. Right, so then sorted out shims, got some more foil, went to foil this one, put the card on the foil press the wrong way round so it foiled across here and not across here. So second failure. And then I thought, right, I'll do my foiling and then I'll score it, having told my husband how it'd gone wrong, and then I scored it in the wrong place. So several attempts at this, and eventually I've got one that was right. Okay, so this is it, and it will be stuck down on the card, but as I say, I wanted to be able to pull it apart and show you. So I'm going to leave that for a minute and come back to it, because first of all I want to show you how you foil and get something like that. Okay, so this is some of the green card, the same green card as I've used for my matte layer, and I foiled it in gold. But I thought for this demonstration I'm going to take some of the white card and then I'm going to foil it in green. Okay, so let me put that safely to one side, and all my lots and lots and lots of flowers. Okay, and I would just say you can also ink with these dies instead. So if you haven't got a foil machine, or you haven't got the right colour foil, you can still ink with these dies, and I will show you that as well. So let me put that over there. So I've got my hot foil stamp, okay, and I'm going to use some green foil mint finish, it says. Okay, it's a lovely pale green foil. Can't find the end. There we are. I have to make sure I've got just enough foil. I can see I've got a bit in that die that hasn't pushed out. Right, so let me just get an idea how wide I need that. Up there. Okay. So I'm using a nice big pair of scissors to cut my foil. Okay, and then I get a nice straight cut. And I don't need it quite that big, so I'm going to cut it down a bit. I've cut it quite generously. Right, so let's put the foil on the card, and I like to tape it down, because I've had these slide about when I've tried to move my hot plate from the docking station to my die cutting machine. So I tape it down, okay, and then on my go press and foil I've got my conversion plate. Now I'm just going to grab something because this is hot and I don't want to touch it because it's hot. I can briefly touch it and I might go, oh, it's not going to leave a burn if I just briefly touch it, but it's not comfortable. So let me pick this up in a silicone mat. I'm trying to do it left-handed. There we are. So the conversion plate, it's a thick plate. It says on it, get the camera to focus, it says on it conversion plate. Yeah, metal conversion plate. It's not a thin metal shim, it's a thick conversion plate. So that goes on there. It has already been heating up. And then I've got my die, my foil, the coloured side facing, how can I put it? The dull side needs to go against the card, and then the shiny side goes against the die. So I'd make my sandwich like that, turn it over, put it on the metal conversion plate. I need to let that warm up. A minute should be plenty of time, but it does need to warm up. Now I've got all sorts of flowers here. Oops. And they're quite flat, and I've left them like that deliberately because I know people may not think of this, but you can shape your flowers and give them some dimension. So I've just got a ball tool here, and I've got one of my foil die cuts, and I can just run the ball tool into the ends of the flowers. It just means when I put it together, it will have some dimension and movement. Let's do this one. I'm using some lovely pearlescent cardstock, just that I found in my stash and I thought worked well with this particular paper. And you can do this as well. I want to use the bigger end, just on a piece of firm foam. Gently, because you don't want to take all the emboss that you've got from the foiling away. You just want to give it a bit of shape. There. Okay, so I will finish those later when I actually put the card together. So this has been warming up over here. Okay, so that now I need to run that through my die cutting machine. So just bear with me a minute while I roll that through. So that's been through the die cutting machine. It does scratch your lid. The lids are replaceable. I've not long fitted a new one, so mine isn't looking too bad at the moment. Okay, so here it is. Sometimes you give it a shake, it falls out. Sometimes it doesn't. If it doesn't, just give it a moment or two to cool down, and then just peel your tape. And it does cut through the foil as well, so don't get worried that that's moving around. There's my die. That's it. Just need a wiggle. There we are. There we are. So that's it foiled. Okay, so now I'm going to ink it and do it that way instead. So somewhere here I've got a piece of plain card and it's big enough. Okay, so you want to be careful you don't get ink everywhere when you're doing this. Okay, so what I often do is put a piece of copy paper on here, but I haven't got one to hand, so I'm going to leave a bit getting inky and I might have to wash my plate afterwards. Okay, so put your die down, get your ink, which I had a second ago. I had an ink pad right here. It was with the card. There it is. It was the card. It just slid over. Right. So I've got some green ink. This is a Versacolor ink pad. It's a pigment ink. Now I always find the ink comes out much stronger than it really looks like it's going to. Because the great thing about using ink is that it doesn't have to all be the same colour or intensity. Okay, so I've inked my dye. Okay, just zoom the camera in on that a bit for you. Okay, so I've inked that. I'm going to put my card on top. I'm going to get my cutting plate there, and then that just goes through the die cutting machine as normal. Okay, you can see I've got my die cutting machine in the corner here. Now because you are inking, you do need to die cut with the die facing up, so have a think about which plate you want to be the one that gets the scratches from the die on it. Okay. Got a couple of little bits just need popping out here. There we are. And there we are. So you can use them with ink, and you get a lovely sort of detailed design. It's like having a stamp and then cutting it out. So you get lots of detail, but without having to worry about sticking down lots of fiddly bits like you do with a normal die cut. Okay, so that's inking them. I'm just going to give that a wipe while the ink's still wet. And my die is keeping still because I'm using a magnetic base plate. I've found that's made life much easier than working with these and inks. So that's that one. Okay. So I need to now take my conversion plate to the go press and bring in my scoreboard. So just bear with me a moment. Okay, so I've got my Couture Creations mini scoring board. Scoring tool sits at the top there, just slide it and it comes off. Okay, so it's a great little scoring board. It's in 1/8 inch increments, like most scoring boards are. It does have some centimetre measurements on it, but the scoring lines don't necessarily line up with them. Okay, and then on the other side, you've got an envelope making tool, and basically it gives you a diagonal score line. So for this little envelope, you need a 5-inch square card. Now if you look down in the description of this video, if you didn't find your way to the video from the post on the Couture Creations blog or my blog with the tutorial for this, if you look in the description, there's a link to the blog post, and all the sizes and dimensions and materials details for the foils and the hot foil stamps will be there. Okay. Oh, and the scoring board. So I've cut my 5-inch square of card, and then I'm going to, on the measurements down the side here, I'm going to line the bottom of this up with the 2-inch mark, and then I'm going to score on my diagonal line here. And then I need to turn it so I do the opposite corner over here. So 1, 2, and do the 2-inch mark again. Okay, so I'm going into the diagonal line and across, and that gives me those 2 lines there. Now for the long sides, I need to do it at a slightly different place, and on an envelope it needs to not join the ends of the lines, but come just this side of them. Okay, now there is a mark on here that says score guide, but for this tiny envelope it gives too much overlap. So I want to do this by putting the bottom of my card against the 2 3/4 inch measurement down the side here, and then I'm going to score in the diagonal again, and then I'm going to turn it round and do the opposite side in exactly the same place. So the bottom lines up with the 2 3/4 inch mark. So make sure I haven't moved that. Okay, make sure it's against the stop there, and then into the groove and score the diagonal. Okay, so I've got my piece of card scored. That's all I need the scoreboard for. So I'm putting that away, and then I need to set up for my foiling. Okay, so I need my hot foil stamp, which is this one, remember. And I'm going to use mine, which has become my normal way of lining up hot foil stamps, and that's to have a stamp press magnet wrapped in some masking tape. The masking tape is important because it lets you grab hold of this. Okay, so I want the point of this in the corner, going across one of these long edges. So this is going to be the top flap of the envelope. Okay, so that's going to go there, and then what I do is I put the magnet on the back, and that holds my hot foil stamp in place. Now you do have to put it with the plain side facing you and the pretty side against the card, because that's how you'll use it. That's how you'll use it on the Go Press and Foil. Okay, so let me bring this back over. Okay, so what I need to do now is put my piece of card on the Go Press and Foil, and I like to line up with the 2 of the edges. Okay, so I'm basically putting it in that corner. Okay, it doesn't matter which corner, but a corner helps. And then I'm gonna come under the edge of this masking tape and press down on my hot foil stamp and use that masking tape to slide off the magnet. Okay, that's why the masking tape is important, because otherwise you cannot pick the magnet up. And you're probably thinking, she hasn't put any foil on. No, I know I haven't. So now I take this off, okay, but I want to make sure that I know which way round it was. Okay, so I'm going to pop that down on my mat the way round I'm going to want to put it on the Go Press. So my hot foil stamp needs to warm up, and while I'm waiting I can cut some foil. Okay, so I've used lots of different colours on this card. I've got the gold here, that's gold foil mirror finish. They also do a warm mirror finish that's a deeper yellow in the gold. I've got purple foil, deep mirror finish. And then I've got phantom purple foil, iridescent material pattern. I've never found any iridescence really in this one, but it's a lovely deep purple. And then I've got this one, which is peach foil matte finish, and this is one of those foils that's sort of translucent, so it works really well on white card, but if you put it on top of a coloured card, then it kind of, its colour will combine with the colour of the card. Okay, so that's what I've used for my sentiment and for some of my foiling on white card. It's what I've used for this. So that's that lovely peach foil. It's not a shiny foil, it's a lovely finish. Okay, so I want my gold. There's an end here somewhere. I'm going to need to trim this to size a bit. what I might actually do, now that I've actually shown you my horrifying mistakes, is take one of these ones that didn't work, and I'm just going to trim round this so that I've got that shape. Because quite often I do this before I put my hot foil stamp on. Okay, so make sure I get this the right way round. I've got that sticking out there. I want it that way round. Yeah. So let me put it, if I put it like that, it doesn't give me much to trim. So I've put it, the foil the way round it'll be on the Go Press, and then I've matched my card, so it'll be the way the card goes on the Go Press. And I'm only roughly cutting this to size. Okay, just so I haven't got lots of extra bits sticking out. Okay, so that's my foil ready. Don't need that. And then I'm going to need some shims. As I say, I sorted myself out some new ones, which I think is these ones. So, because I've been working with this lots, I've already figured out that I need to be using 4 thicknesses of card. So each one of these is folded in half. Now this is typical sort of card that you would die cut from. In UK we measure it as GSM, grams per square inch, and this is 250 GSM card. So typically what I'd die cut. If I was making a card base, I'd use something slightly thicker, but this is generally what I die cut. So I've got my shims. I've got a nice smooth side there that I'm going to be the bit that goes down. Got my foil. So let's get the Go Press back. Okay, so I've got my foil ready to go on here. There we are. And then I need to make sure, now I want it, think about which way you're going to fold it. That's going to be the inside. Well, I've got the score lines going inwards. So, and I want it on this tip. So this is the one that needs to come up here. So I'm going to put my card back, lining it up with the corner again. And then I'm going to put a little piece of tape at the bottom to hold it still. And then I can get my shims. Okay. And I'm going to put those on there. And I'm going to close the lid. And because I've had this off of the base while I did that, I'm going to just push it back into the base and make sure it is at temperature. I'm going to push it in. Yep. The red flashing lights come on. So I'm going to wait until that goes green, and then I'm going to roll it through my die cutting machine. So that shouldn't need too long to heat, but it obviously did really need to. There we go. The light's gone green. I don't know if you heard the click. So pull that out. So obviously I've got 4 shims in here, because that's what I've worked out I need with this particular hot foil stamp, and the card I'm using and the foil I'm using. But it feels quite a firm roll, but that's okay. And I'm going to do it again just to be sure. So rolling slowly. take my shims off. I can lift my card off and take my tape off. And then I can peel my foil. In fact, let me move that out of the way first. Okay, so that's foiled quite nicely, but I've got some bits of overfoiling. Let me just see if I can get the camera focused on them. Now you can see I've got some bits of overfoiling there that I really didn't want. Okay, and they're going to be quite visible. So the first thing to do is to get a brush and just brush over it. Okay, I've got, gosh, that was dusty. What have I been doing that's dusty? Right, so I've got a really soft 1-inch paintbrush. Okay, and I'm just going to brush over the surface. And so, because sometimes you get foil that isn't actually attached to the card so much as the bit of foil next to it that is attached to the card. So I can do that, and that has got rid of some of it. Okay, and I've still got this bit up here. Now I've discovered a really neat trick recently, because this is a coated card. If I get my Couture Creations Creative Detailer and try and remove that, it's going to spoil the finish on the pearl card. So what you can do is get some scrap card. I'm going to use, no, that's strong sort of card. Scrap card. Oh, sorry. Some scrap card. This is a bit left over from cutting down card to make a card blank smaller. So let me get a piece of this. And then I'm going to use a tape roller. I have actually done this with a foam pad as well. That's probably the not the most economical thing to use. I'm just going to put some tape on here. I'm going to roll this a bit. Okay. Now, let me make sure you really have seen this foil that I'm removing. So, yeah, can you see it there? It's right on the edge. Oops. And then a bit further in as well. Yeah, that's what I'm after. I think that anything else that was there has come off with the brush. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in quite a lot and focus and try and get this piece of card where you can see it. There. Right. So then what I'm going to do is just quite carefully, I'm going to kind of dab it with the sticky bit of the piece of card. Okay. So I don't want to go down into the areas that have been debossed, because that will spoil the foiling that I do want. I'm actually going to cut a small piece off of this. Just so I can kind of get into the space where that is. There. And that, I'll bring that up to the camera. Has pulled the foil off that I don't want. Yeah? Make sure I'm looking at the same bit of card. Got one or two other bits of overfoiling. I can just see them now. The camera's zooming in on them. I can't really see them with the naked eye. So I can just, sorry, let me turn this round to there and focus. So I'm using it kind of cold on my finger, just gently going like this, so making sure I only catch the surface, because the foil I want is debossed, so I'm not actually sticking to that, but you will have to take some care. Focus the camera. There we are. So it's taken off the overfoiling that was there for me, and it hasn't damaged the surface, and it really has taken foil off, because you can see it stuck to that piece of card, just tiny traces. Okay, so that's great. Let's take the camera back down to normal. There we are. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is cut away the notches where my score lines intersect. I'm going to have to zoom in on that now, aren't I? There you go. So you can see where my score lines intersect. Now I need to cut away the score line as well as the card. So I'm going to cut. Let me get a pencil. I'm going to mark where I'm going to cut. So you can see it. Okay, so I'm going to cut to the outside of the score line. And I need to do that on all 4 of these notches. Okay, so after I've cut it, you can't see the score line on the bit of card that's left. I've cut it away. Okay, so now I need to actually fold these and burnish the lines. So I'm going to do the outsides first. And I do actually like to just bend them in and make sure they are kind of, the points are pointing at each other in the middle. Yeah, that'll be fine. So just roughly first and then burnish. Because sometimes if you go straight in with burnishing it, as in making the crease hard, it's not quite gone in the right place, even though you've scored it. Okay, so I've got those two, and then the bottom comes up. Okay, I'm just going to rub out that line I've got here. There we are. Okay, and I just need to stick it along here. So you might want to use some wet glue or some high tack tape. It's up to you. On this one I'm going to use some wet glue. So I'm putting the glue, sorry, let me move the camera. Wrong way. There we are. So I'm going to put the glue, I don't want to go right to the end, but just on, so from, actually if I actually stuck my pencil under there, I can put a mark there. Yeah, no, it didn't mark. That's not having a good day, is it? Okay. So, automatic pencil, it needs some lead. Right, so I'm just going to slide a pencil under there. And now it's marked. Okay, just put a mark there. So I know roughly where to put my glue up to. That isn't focusing very well at all, is it? better. Okay, so you can see where my pencil line ended up. And that's to make sure I don't end up with glue on this bit that's going to float in the air. Now you could take the top off. It's up to you. I like to leave it there. It just kind of worked with the design better if it was there. Okay. Make sure I don't go too far there. Right. And put that up there. And ideally I want that to dry before I put it on my card. But that's how you make the little envelope. Okay, so we've got our envelope. I've got all my die cut, in my case die cut and forward flowers, lots of different shapes, sizes, colours. So here I've done the gold foil on the pink card. Here I've done I think that's the lighter purple foil. So on the pink card, and then, or is that one the lighter purple? Maybe they're both the lighter purple. No, that one is the phantom purple, and those two are the lighter purple. It does depend on the lighting. Okay, I just wanted a variety of card and foils and things, and then I've got foliage that I've cut, some in the green and some in the pink and some in the white. And as I say, I just want it all to come together to kind of look like it's all exploding out of that envelope. Okay, and I've got my leaf as well. So that's the foiled one, or there's an inked version somewhere. There's one I did earlier. Okay, this is the one I did on the green card in the gold. Okay, so I will put all that together and you'll see the finished article on the blog post and on the video thumbnail. Okay, and details, I say what I've used and how I've done it, and the sizes and the measurements will all be in the blog post. Okay, thank you for watching.